Hello, and welcome to Remembering the MCU. My name is Aurelius, and today we will be remembering the movie Thor. Now, if you haven't watched any of my videos before, or any of the other videos in this series, basically what I've been doing is I'm going through the entire the entire Infinity Saga, all the way up to Endgame, and maybe I think I'll probably also do Spider-Man: Far From Home as well. But we're going through all of those movies for all the way up till 2019, throughout the rest of this year. And the reason I'm doing it is because, well, last year, 2023, there was a big all the Marvel movies really flopped, and it was very disappointing. And I wanted to go back, since I haven't seen a lot of these movies for many years. I wanted to go back and rewatch some of these and remember what it was like watching these movies. So I also just want to go ahead and just put up a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Thor, don't watch this video unless you want spoilers. I don't know. I'm going to be spoiling the movie. Anyways, you've been warned. Okay, so general thoughts about the movie. I kind of liked it. It's a little bit different than than the other ones, as it's in space, and you've got Asgard, you've got Jotunheim, you've got Earth, and you're traveling across the space and time or whatever. You've kind of got more of a Shakespearean type plot with it, with thrones and kings and sons and all this stuff going on. So you've got that going on, which is something that was kind of interesting. And then you also have a fish out of water plot with Thor coming down to Earth, and then now he's speaks Old English in a sense, and does weird things because that's how he would have done in Asgard, and it's Earth, not Asgard. So that was a bit interesting. It was a little bit different. That was kind of fun with that. Obviously, you have the introduction of Clint Barton, just barely, just a little bit in there. I remember when I first watched the movie, I didn't even know that Hawkeye was in it, and then I remember later watching it, and I was like, trying to see if we point someone to point him out, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So, and he's these things. Now that I know what he looks like, it's not hard to point him out at all. So that was kind of interesting. Also, interesting note, Thor actually takes place during the same week as Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk. And I also picked up the referencing Iron Man and Bruce Banner as well. So you have some of these little Easter eggs where they just kind of drop in some wording, they drop in some language that suggests some other stuff in there. And I like how they're building up to the Avengers here. One of the biggest complaints I have with like phases 4 and 5 is it really doesn't seem like they're building to anything. There's just so many things just going out in so many different directions. But here, even though these are all standalone projects and none of them are crossing over, each one is still kind of this next chapter in the saga. It's you first introduce Iron Man, then you introduce the Incredible Hulk, and then you go back to Iron Man, and then you introduce Natasha Romanoff as well in Iron Man 2. And here you're introducing Thor, and you're introducing Clint Barton, who's Hawkeye. And the next one is you're going to introduce Captain America. And then the next one after that is the almighty Avengers movie, where they all come together, and that's going to be the big payoff. And so all of these movies in phase 1 are still building up to that. And whether it's just little hints here and there, each one is still building the characters that will go into the Avengers movie. Now, one of the things I do want to mention is that there's a little bit of a trend earlier on. I think so. Thor is now towards the end of phase 1, and so starting Thor, and I remember at least a couple other movies where they'll have like a big event, something big happens, and then they walk it back. So in Thor, they destroy the Bifrost, and then they walk it back. And in Iron Man 3, Iron Man gives up the suit, gives up the armor, gives up the arc reactor, and then they walk it back. And then you've got Thor: The Dark World. They kill off Loki, and they walk it back. I mean, technically, they kind of killed off Loki in Thor as well, but then like they show that he's still alive in the post credit scene. So, like it's not. I don't know if they really are trying to say that they killed him off. Now, as for the style of the movie, a couple things of note. Firstly, I think the biggest thing that most people talk about with Thor is like the Dutch angles, the massive amounts of Dutch angles. And yeah, it is kind of excessive. It is there's a lot of it, and it is quite noticeable. Although it is kind of interesting because it is kind of like this fascinating thing of turning, like, because it's a different angle. It's a more dramatic angle. So it is kind of an interesting thing with how they're doing that. I also wanted to mention like the design of Asgard itself was pretty cool. Amazing visuals. The Rainbow Bridge and all of that look really good, and is something that I find to be quite an exceptional. I think this is the first movie that really has to do something big and different with a setting, and they do that with Asgard. And then also a big problem I find with this movie is its world building is, let's just say, not good at all. Asgard feels mostly like just a couple of rooms in the palace and the Bifrost, and Jotunheim feels like this just one little space because that's all you see of Jotunheim, and there's just not much that like they talk about other things, but it feels very superficially. And this also kind of goes in with like with Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. Like both of these aspects they just weren't fleshed out at all. So Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, they don't feel like they have any personality at all. And then you have all these Asgards. And so it all kind of feels like this stuff, all this extra stuff that they're building out and that they're showing, it just doesn't feel like it exists outside the movie. And that's one thing I've noticed a lot in a lot of these other worlds that have been built in movies and video games and TV shows, is that what they do is they can build it out to make it feel like there is more there, but it doesn't feel like there is more to Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. It doesn't feel like there is more to Asgard. I think Asgard gets a little bit more fleshed out in Thor Ragnarok, to my remembrance. But like Jotunheim is like barely existent. It doesn't feel like an actual place, and so that is, in my opinion, probably the biggest problem with Thor, is that they just didn't do enough world building. But also, speaking of characters as well, so obviously you've got like Thor and Loki, Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. I think I keep forgetting the names. Actually, I don't even remember the names. I've got them on my screen up here. Volstagg, Hogun, Fandral, and Sif. Yeah, I don't even know if I remember hearing their names. Okay, I don't remember hearing their names. I don't remember if they do say their names. They have no personality. There's nothing to them. And so when I think they get killed off in, I think they don't show up in Thor: The Dark World, and they get killed off in Thor Ragnarok with very little fanfare, and it's like, and I'll be honest, nobody cares because nobody even knows who they are. Let's just be honest here. Odin, I think he was a good presence. Anthony Hopkins plays him, and he does a great job. I like this version of the character. Heimdall, played by Idris Elba, I believe, and I think, interestingly enough, you actually get less Heimdall and more personality in Heimdall than you'd get in Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. Like, there's no excuse. That's what I'm saying. No excuse. Loki, obviously, Loki's one of the more Loki and Thor. They're two longest running characters. So obviously, Loki. They started building him out here, and then they just continue to build him out. Loki and Thor get the most character development here, and they do definitely like display his personality. I like him later on, where they do definitely build him out more. And then Thor, the beginning of the movie, they are building him up to kind of be that a-hole, like just being a really arrogant guy and, going around. And they do that quite effectively, I think. But then also kind of makes his change on Earth a little convenient, I might say. It's a little, I don't know, it doesn't really seem natural, in my opinion. So that's just, yeah, I don't really completely buy it that he just all of a sudden just, it's like, oh, let's think about other people now and instead. But I guess that's, I think they could have done it a little bit better, but I don't know. Either way, I think a lot of these movies in the early part of the MCU, in the early phase 1, they're still kind of trying to find their footing. Like this, Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk still all have quite different. They're all still quite different. Thor's got all the Dutch angles, the more dramatic looks. Iron Man is more or less kind of what we see more of later on in the MCU, and then Hulk is a little bit more of a character study. And all three of these movies are still quite different. This one's still made by Paramount. Disney hasn't come in yet, and things are still different. They're still trying to figure out what it is the MCU is, and so you're still not going to have great movies. It's still passable, still good, it's still enjoyable, and we'll have to see how Captain America fares in the next episode. So if you guys want to see any more of these, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and for more of these videos. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, and we'll see you in the next video.